Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
For the record, day number 742 in quarantine. If you're listening to this in the future, it's been a long time.
You're still counting, yeah.
And we're glad to hear that someone survived.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, we may be the only three left. No, everything's good. Hopefully,
there better be. I need at least one barber to have survived because, goddamn it, I need a haircut.
I'm about to do the. I got the clippers. I'm about to do. Maybe I'll videotape that.
My top's not bad. It's the sides. I need the sides.
I get these little
yeah,
wings.
that's what I have. I've got those too.
Going.
I look like I have a comb over. Okay, and it's like yeah.
Anyway, so if you're having the same hair problems, let us know. Hopefully you're being safe, despite what some people think. Still be safe. We'll be through this soon. The sooner you can stay in your house, the sooner we can get the hell out of here. Okay, enough of that. We're just even sick of it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back. We're gonna go way back to our original segment, which was Desert Island DVDs, and what better time when we're basically all on a deserted island. Well, I don't know why we called it desert. Most islands aren't deserts, but whatever. That's just what it's called. So we'll get into that. But
because it sounds better than Tropical Island DVDs. That's why.
Well, it should be Deserted Island DVD. Because
do
you need to watch a DVD if you're on Hawaii? No.
Well, that bumper's 6 years old, and I'm not redoing it. So
no, it's fine.
It's Desert Island, and
we stole
Desert
it from
Island. You'd get
from the
like
radio.
In your DVD.
Desert Island discs.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, too late for that. It's been 6 years, as you said. Let's go random, and then we get into other stuff. Todd.
Okay. So I haven't talked about Moon Knight for like maybe a month now. So the Moon Knight series is set to go into production in November.
Really?
Yes.
So we had heard that, right?
Yep.
On Disney Plus. Yes.
And the working title for the production is Good Faith. I don't know why. I have no idea. But so if you see Good Faith being shot somewhere, I know they had the different things that they shoot on location. They always have an alternate title for. Still haven't announced who's in it. But the head of the writing team, Jeremy Slater, worked on Umbrella Academy. Bo DeMeo worked in the originals and The Witcher, which I really liked. So again, still no idea who's in it and which incarnation they're going to do, but I'm cautiously excited about this.
Does that character ever have his mask off, or does it not matter who's playing him?
No, he does have his mask off, and in fact, he has his mask off a lot of time because he actually has 3 secret identities. So
3.
It's very interesting. So I'm like I said, I'm really excited for this. By the time it comes out, I will have read every Moon Knight comic. And it's like I said, should be interesting. And there's some great incarnations of him because they've like gone back and recreated the character many, many times, and different people have added to it. And so there's a lot to work with. And he's kind of he's a big fan favorite character. Do
we know what platform it's going to be available on? Like, who are they making it for?
Oh, this is Disney Plus. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is Disney Plus. And the interesting thing is he's kind of a periphery character too. So, they've already said he's going to tie into the movies ultimately, but there's a lot of directions it could go. So again, I'm really excited for this. This is, I was saying to somebody recently, this is kind of the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of approach here, where they've got a character that a lot of people are kind of aware of and have some, from like crossovers and stuff like that, and some understanding of who he is, but not a lot of people have read the books. So they can go whatever direction they want, and they don't fight the tide of, well, that's not Captain America, or that's not what Iron Man would do, or whatever. They're going to go into a pretty much pure audience and can present it and however they want to, which will be great. And which, like I said, is what they did with Guardians, and it worked really well. So
cool. Barry?
Dave, what do you got?
Oh, me. Okay. I'll go. I'm scrolling around looking for things to talk about, and I guess there's a lot of the shows have been on hiatus, and I have not watched Legends of Tomorrow, but there was a little news blurb of their latest trailer, and I'm like, oh, I'll watch that. Well, apparently they do a little takeoff on Star Trek, which is what dragged me in. Then I
saw that too.
Then I watched the whole trailer, and I'm like, this show is as awful as I think it is. I will probably watch the Star Trek episode, and there's supposedly a very loose crossover with Supernatural, but
the
trailer just looks.
See, I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, because that was actually on my list of things to talk about. I thought that trailer was all for the next episode. Is it not? Is that for things that are happening?
I think it's the next couple of shows.
Oh, okay, because I actually reset my DVR today to record Legends after having watched that trailer. I had the opposite reaction to you. I was like, oh, wow, I forgot how much fun Legends was.
I got to say, I still enjoy the show. I find it less annoying than any of them because it's not trying to take itself seriously, and it's really hard to take the others seriously. So
fair enough. But
I'm like 4 episodes back on Flash, and I'm tempted to just delete them and say I'm done.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean,
I'll finish out the season on everything because that's what
they come back tonight too.
Yeah, I know. So I'll be 5 behind after tonight.
I swear to God, I have not watched. I said this last week. I have caught up on Nancy Drew, and it's better than any of those shows. I'm telling you, it's better than any of those shows.
But is that not saying much? I mean, or is it? I mean,
as much as there's a lot of hokiness to it, there's a story that at least I'm interested where it's going. You know.
Okay.
The other ones, not so much.
Right.
So, but that's
look. There was a good run of DC shows. I mean, you guys watched way more than I did. But if it petered out, then it petered out. But for years, it was your favorite series of shows.
But I will say for the 4 remaining ones, 5. How many are there? 5 remaining ones to all kind of suck at the same time is tough.
You know the thing is that amazes me though is that we can look at these shows and we can all 3 of us can drill down to exactly what the problem with each one of these shows is. They've got to know this. They've got to know that Batwoman works on a whole lot of levels, but they just got to get away from the stupid sister thing.
Is it just very lazy writing? Like, let's just
Supergirl
write story arc.
No one gives a shit about her teenage feud with Lena Luthor. Okay, it's like every single one of these things.
But I think that they paint themselves into corners with these stretched out arcs that they can't. They can't change gears.
You could have ended the Batwoman arc. Okay, you killed her. All right, she's dead. Spoiler alert. Yep. I don't know. And
I wonder if Berlanti is just spread too thin at this point too.
He's not even involved at this point. But you're right. It's all of the shows. They've all got, like I said, a central thing where you just got to be like, really? They're still doing this. The whole universe is hinging on Lena and Lena's ridiculous idea that she's mad that she wasn't told that she's Supergirl. Whatever. Which transcended the end of the universe. Figure that out. And Flash, I can't even tell you what the hell's going on, and I don't care. When we were talking this through, if they just looked at 2 story arcs a year or 3 story arcs a year and rotated through that cycle and said, this year we're going to do 3 story arcs, this year we're going to do 2 story arcs, and maybe even connected them tangentially, but at least you didn't go into say like, oh yeah, nothing will happen in this really for the next 18 episodes. It's not going to get resolved in any way. It's going to be drawn. It's just, it's so painful. Yeah. And anyway, Barry, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen with you guys.
That's for the listening audience. Go to www.
We'll put pictures up, but
can regularjoes.com.
Todd, can you enable screen sharing or no? If not, I'll just text you guys this picture.
Is it the one you texted us before?
No, it's not the one I texted you before. No.
He's texting us a picture. I'll
riveting podcasting. I'll just text you the picture.
He's texting us a picture.
Hang on, because it's something I want to talk about, but you need to see it.
It's not a half-naked Ray from.
Oh no, I'm accidentally texting it to Tom Spina and not you. Hang on. Although he would appreciate it too for what it is. Okay.
We're still stretching.
I just texted you guys a picture of 3 Barbie dolls.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. I think
these are not custom Barbie dolls. These are actual Star Wars Barbie dolls that apparently
we see
are
these already?
out. I have never seen these before. So there's a Darth Vader Barbie, a Princess Leia Barbie, and an R2-D2 Barbie.
Yeah.
Let's
the Darth Vader Barbie, if she puts down the purse, is basically a dominatrix Barbie.
Well, I'm going to save her for last. Let's start with Princess Leia because it's the most like a Princess Leia Barbie that out of the 3 of these. It's the white dress. She's got the bun hair. She's got a rebel symbol pocketbook.
Which is, I got to say, people, a dead giveaway if you're a rebel. But anyway.
You definitely don't want to have that pocketbook. She's got a slit that goes all the way up and some wacky boots. But okay, so that one, put that aside. The R2-D2 one, I don't know why, reminds me of Pris from Blade Runner. It's got the
it's the head angle, Barry. It's the
head angle.
Yeah, she's totally got that
skirt. She's got a see-through skirt. It just that reminds me of Pris from. But the Darth Vader one. So let's talk about that one.
Wait, go back to R2-D2. And poor C-3PO is whittled down to just being a purse.
Clutch. Yeah, she's got a little clutch purse. That's
oh my God, you're right. I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah.
C-3PO is a clutch purse. Wow.
Which it's just wacky, but very unique. But the Darth Vader one, so her hair is shaped like the helmet.
She's got I didn't even pick that up. I thought it was
metal
sort
choker,
of a different thing going.
And her pocketbook is the chest box from Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I kind of like the Darth Vader one almost enough to buy it. I don't collect Barbies.
All of these Barbies.
Oh, I would totally, but I would definitely date the Vader Barbie for sure. Yeah. I just had no idea that they went this cross. I mean, I had no idea they were making these. I've seen plenty of girl dolls that they've made in the Star Wars theme, but these are actual Barbies, and they're like $100 a piece or something.
Oh, geez, it's interesting.
But yeah, we'll share this photo. But like, the Vader one is kind of weird. I mean, it is a little dominatrix-y.
Oh, it's a lot dominatrix-y. I mean, there's kind of like a corset, and
But she's got the Vader belt and the chest, the belt boxes, and. I don't know. It's kind of wacky. It's a weird crossover. Speaking, we were talking about crossovers before, but
I gotta say that the hair shaped like the helmet and the sunglasses, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I thought
if a cosplayer did this. If a cosplayer did this, it would be like, man, that's pretty good.
I would like to.
And that's basically what these are. These are like cosplay, creative cosplay.
It is very much like that. Yeah, I mean, what was that? Adrian somebody or other? That woman used to cosplay. Adrian Curry. Yeah, I could see her cosplaying that like 10 years ago. But I don't know. It was just weird when I saw it, and then I was dismissing it entirely, and then I was kind of looking at the Vader and going, I might buy that.
Nice. That's another thing you'll sell in 5 years.
Yeah, of course. Or I'll never take it out of the box.
Exactly.
Put it in my attic.
Yeah.
Any other random?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that to the surprise of no one, they are working on the 3rd season of Mandalorian already.
I had that too. Yeah.
Good. It's like, you might as well say Variety. There's an article in Variety about it. You might as well say they're working on the 4th and 5th seasons too, because
you never know. We could be Remember how we used to talk about Flash? We could be oh my God, and that stupid Baby Yoda. He's just the same story over.
I know. Again with the Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
It's like enough. Yep. So.
Well, speaking of Baby Yoda, there's a Baby Yoda pop available. There's not enough Baby Yoda stuff, but go Fanboy Collectibles. Check those guys out. There is a Baby Yoda pop, not called Baby Yoda. It's called the Child, but I'm not calling it that. There's also a Vader in Meditation Chamber pop, which is kind of interesting. That's a cool little set.
By the way, that Baby Yoda is in stock. That may be the
stock.
First in-stock Baby Yoda item I've ever seen.
If you really need to get your hands on Baby Yoda today, that's your avenue.
That's the thing to do.
So,
Hot Toys Endgame Captain Marvel. We texted about it, but I got to say, she has the different hairdo, the sort of the cut hair, but the face sculpt on that is really nice. It looks exactly like her.
I think it's better than the original.
It's very. I'm back and I'm pissed, and they did a good job with that. because they hadn't settled on
her
movie costume.
So check these guys out, Fanboy Collectibles. Go online. If you got your stimulus check, you know where to spend it. Don't worry about food or anything or rent. Just buy some toys. That's a Hot Toys figure. You need one. It'll make you feel better. You can play with it. Get a big set. You can play with it. But there's Pops and there's Sideshow and there's everything. Check them out. Tell them the regular Joes sent you.
You know, it's funny. You just mentioned the stimulus checks. Do you have many things I've seen available online right now from people selling things that they're charging $1,200 for them?
I saw that too.
So many people selling things for $1,200.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That's ridiculous. Anyway, before we get to Desert Island DVD, Barry, we're going to do something first. Barry, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so there's a new book that's out, just came out, called The Joy of JoeCon. It's all about people's recollections of G.I. Joe conventions over the years. A guy named Bill Nedrow put the book together. He actually asked a number of people to write chapters. I was actually one of the people, so I'm in the book. But we were able to get him on earlier in the night tonight to do a quick interview. So why don't we throw that in right here, and here you go, Bill Nedrow. So we are joined now by Bill Nedrow, who is, I don't know if I should call you the author of the book or the collaborator or the aggregator, but there's a new book that just came out called The Joy of JoeCon, which is all about G.I. Joe conventions through the years. And you got a number of people to write individual chapters about their experiences with G.I. JoeCon. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And I know that Dave and Todd haven't seen the book yet, but truth be told, and I don't think I ever told you this during, because I guess I should say I am one of the contributors to the book. Todd actually helped edit my section, so Todd actually collaborated on this book too.
We collaborate on everything, so
yeah, we do. We write a lot of stuff together.
Yep.
So Todd is an unnamed. He's a ghostwriter.
Yeah, an unnamed co-conspirator, as it were.
Yes. But and it's funny because, you know, between the three of us, we've probably been to 50 something Joe conventions when you add them all up.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we've ever met before, Bill.
Yeah.
I'd only had a chance to get to the last 3 or 4. So I was kind of a latecomer to the JoeCon phenomena. But it made an impression on me. And as I was leaving the last one, I thought that this was a good project to kind of put together. So I was glad to really be involved with a lot of people who had all sorts of experience with JoeCons, and to learn from them and to learn what the event meant to them.
Yeah, what was cool when I was thrilled when you asked me to participate, and then when I saw the list of people, actually some of our really good friends are also involved.
Yes.
So Daryl DePriest, who actually introduced the three of us to each other back in 1999
at a JoeCon. Yep.
At a JoeCon, we all met through Daryl and Brian Savage, who's also a good friend of all of ours. Ace Allgood, Justin Bell, Gary Godso. I think those are the guys that we know personally. But there's a lot of people, so maybe you could just
describe a little bit of tell us what the
give us a little bit of how how you put it together and why you picked the people you picked.
Okay. Well, the idea came to me as I left the very last JoeCon. Actually, we had just at that JoeCon, Justin Bell and Jim Beard and I had just released a previous book called The Joy of Joe, which is really Jim Beard's kind of baby. He let me and Justin collaborate with him and co-edit that. So it was Sunday of the last JoeCon when my wife and I were driving home that I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about kind of the mood of that last day as everybody said goodbye to this event. And I thought, that The Joy of Joe needed a sequel, that a second book like this, The Joy of JoeCon, could really maybe help people process what this event meant to them. So as soon as that idea kind of came to my head, immediately names started kind of popping in my head. And I don't know, I think I had a piece of scrap paper or a napkin. I started jotting down some people that I knew I wanted to get involved. And so I reached out to them. Some of them, I think, as I was driving, I started texting some people. And then, one thing led to another. Some people said, oh, well, if you're doing this, you should talk to these people. You should talk to this person. Barry, I actually got your name from Brian Savage, who said, when I asked him to write the afterword, he said, I'll do it, but I really think that you need to talk to Barry Kay. and Ace Allgood.
Yeah.
So he passed along your contact information and Ace's contact information, which was great because I wanted to get as many different perspectives as I could for the book.
Yeah, I think that's good because I think it rounds out. There's some people, I haven't read the whole book yet. I've thumbed through some of it and I've read some of the full essays, but there's definitely some people that, like yourself, kind of came to the whole thing later on. And there's some people that were only involved in it in the beginning and never made it back to another one. And then there's people like Ace and like me and some other people that were at almost every one of them. So I think I missed 3 or 4. Mostly because of children being born or other like life events,
unimportant things like that just came up as distractions. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I think once I got a taste of it, and I think I started going to these things back in 1994 before Brian was even involved. But thankfully Todd did help me edit this thing down. But I had originally written something much longer that started back at my first G.I. Joe convention and kind of went through all of that, and he helped me realize it wasn't all quite really relevant.
So Barry in writing tends to not just like start with the wheel. He starts with the idea for the wheel and then just kind of goes from there.
I always say start in the middle.
Yeah,
but and which is good. And for me,
I think I actually told him that, Dave, while we were editing. Dave always says starting to throw away the first 12 pages.
It worked for George Lucas, so why not?
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, reading it made me think back to all those, events that I went to and all the conventions and all the traveling. And I think Brian mentions it in his section of the book, but I joked with him all the time that like there are the cities that I've gone to only because there was the G.I. Joe convention there.
I think almost every single one of those. I mean, I don't think we would have got to nearly.
It's like
some of those cities.
Yeah.
Todd's got the badges in his hand.
It's like threw mine all away. I don't think I still have one.
Oh, really? I've got everything.
I have all of them somewhere, but this is all the 2010 forward. And the other ones are somewhere separate, but but there's a lot of them. So
I am the when it comes to convention, I mean, one of the things that I really originally got interested in the whole idea of the conventions for was I'm a total sucker for an exclusive and a convention exclusive, especially. So 94, when I heard there were going to be exclusive toys, I was in. So I've kept everything from all the 12-inch. I mean, I haven't kept all the 3 3/4-inch convention exclusives, but I have every one of them. I have every badge. I have every pin. I have every little jacket that they gave you I have everything.
Your kids will have fun throwing that all away.
Yeah, I know. My kids will enjoy it someday. But especially, once, and this is true for you guys too, but once they started putting my names on the sides of the box,
oh my God, yes. And
those I have, but those jackets, there's a point where you can get $100 for those jackets.
I know, they're crazy. People are paying crazy money.
Anyway, we digress. But
yes, we totally digress.
So what was your process? I mean, you've written another book before this. Have you written others other than that, or?
Yeah, I've written quite a few. I went to college to study writing. I'd originally thought maybe comic books were my future. And then I graduated and I became one of those writers who, one of those terrible writers who writes a page every night and then wakes up in the morning and throws it away.
Yeah,
Decides it's not good enough.
Yeah.
So G.I. Joe really kind of launched my writing career when Kindle Worlds did opened up the G.I. Joe world for publication. I knew that I kind of had to. This was my chance, right? I didn't know how large a window that was going to be, but I was going to sit down and I was going to finish something. So I ended up doing 4 novels and 3 G.I. Joe novellas, which were really well received.
Oh, great.
That kind of became my gateway into JoeCon. I worked with Daryl and Mark Weber at Hasbro, and we started, and of course Brian Savage. We did panels at the JoeCons, kind of promoting the Kindle Worlds, and some of the writings that me and some other authors had done. So that was really my excuse, the reason I got to go to JoeCon. And then from there, I've published in other genres. I did a book for Moonstone Press, I.V. Frost. I'm sorry, I did a story in that book. I did a novel for Marauder Task Force Wrath, which is available on their website. I co-edited the Joy of Joe with Justin Bell and Jim Beard. And then, this is my latest project. So it all kind of evolved into this one that we just released.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. That's one of the great things about this hobby is there's all these other dimensions and directions you can take it in. Dave and I have done all these different side projects over the years, and we've collaborated with Barry on things and stuff like that. And it's part of the joy that you wring out of this thing. And it's like, if you're really just about buying stuff and putting it in a shelf, that gets old after a while. And particularly when you have all the stuff like Barry and Dave do. But to me, that's the true joy. I get to write comics and some prose stories and things like that. And it just, like I said, that's the part that I just love. And it's funny.
That's really the resounding theme when you flip through this book is that almost everybody that I've, read their pieces of what they've written, it's all about, it started out about the toys and it ended up about the friendships. And I mean, we've been saying that, for years on our podcast and, to when we just talk to people about this stuff. If it was just about going shopping for 3 days once a year, we probably would have got tired of that a lot faster than we did. So,
it was all these projects came out of some kind really at some conversation at JoeCon, everything, this podcast, the dioramas we've done,
we were sitting in a lounge having a conversation and somebody who was sitting like just kind of listening to the three of us, one of our friends said, "You guys really should have a podcast. You should just be recording." Yes. And
our friends who do listen to it say, "Yeah, the podcast is pretty much like them when they're not recording."
Yeah, it's just like that's what it is. Yeah, just hit play.
But that was 6 years ago, and we're still doing this. So
it's nice that like you said, all these projects that came out. Now, are you a G.I. Joe collector or fan or anything?
Yeah, I've been. I was born in that perfect time when. Just young enough for Star Wars, and then when that went away, got hooked on the 4-inch G.I. Joe stuff. That G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, that was all really my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think what makes this fandom unique, as you guys are saying, is it becomes so much more than just the toys, right? It's the people you meet and all the ways you get to collaborate with them and create and be supported by this amazing community. So you're right. That's become one of the kind of the motifs that come through in the book.
Well, and one of the cool things about JoeCon in general was that it never got so big that it lost the ability for people to hang out with each other and spend it's not like San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con or some of these bigger 20,000-30,000 people showing up at an event. I mean, it was just big enough that it felt like there was a good group of people there and just small enough that you could meet people and hang out with them and recognize them year after year and get to know people. And that's kind of unique, I think, in that whole convention culture is that, most of these shows just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and JoeCon kept growing, but it never felt like it got out of control from that perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I really think that Brian Savage and some of the other people who were behind it made a conscious effort to make that the case, and really focused on putting the fans first and the social aspect of the hobby in the forefront.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, true.
So go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, the good thing is, and it evolved. I mean, originally it was the military sort of Joes. Then it was also included the adventure team. And then the 3 3/4. And while some people didn't like the change, I think, at the end of the day, we have friends who span all those universes, the original military and even the smaller Joes, as we call them.
Yeah, I mean, when we started going to conventions, it was like 90% 12-inch G.I. Joe collectors, and the minority was the people that collected the 3 3/4-inch stuff. And by the end of it, it had completely flip-flopped. It was, kind of interesting to watch that evolve.
But it was also great, though, because all these new people brought their new enthusiasm into it and in different directions. And the thing that always fascinated me was the 3 3/4-inch collectors were into different things. So we could see, we could see these whole other aspects to it that we had never seen. We had a lot more customizing and things like that things were focused on, and they went in all different directions because the because it was so IP based, whereas our stories were kind of, you make it up as you go along because there was no stuff behind it. But
there was no cosplay at the first 15 years of G.I. JoeCon.
No.
Well,
we did
a little bit.
Maybe a little bit, but yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think what's unique about that property is that it's so diverse. You've got the 12-inch guys. Within the 12-inch guys, like you said, you've got the action force, you've got the more militaristic.
Yep.
When you get to the 4-inch, there's a sect that's kind of very much into the cartoons. There's a sect that's more comic-based. And then a lot of properties that would have a real possibility of being divisive.
Yeah.
But somehow, and whether that's JoeCon or the fans who are gravitate towards this property, it really isn't. Like you said, it adds more diversity and more conversation and more goodwill somehow.
Yeah.
Which is unique, I think.
Yeah.
So how long did this project take to put together?
It's been about 2 years. Like I said, I dreamed it up as I was driving home from the last JoeCon, and I kind of hoped that I could maybe get it done in a year. And have it kind of ready for when the next JoeCon would have been. And it just didn't quite work out that way. As soon as I reached out to people, by the end of that next week, I had a number of people who said, "Oh yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to submit something," and then it became a waiting game. That I'd have to check in with people and say, "Hey, you said you'd have that in 2 weeks. Can you, get it to me?" And I mean, it's a fun project, so I wasn't in a position where I could, really bug anybody. But yeah, I mean, it took a while to get everything in and then edit it and then, put it all together. So I was very happy finally to get it on the shelves and get it into people's hands.
And how do people get it? Let's let people know how they get their hands on it.
Okay. It's available on Amazon.com. You can get it both in a digital copy for your Kindle or in print. You can just look up Joy of JoeCon. You can search my name, Bill Nedrow. That'll bring up both books, The Joy of JoeCon and The Joy of Joe. They make great companion pieces. I tried to match the covers so they kind of looked alike.
Yeah, I've got my physical copy right here in my hands.
Oh, that's great.
Dave's on the back cover right there, Dave. With Don Levine.
My lawyer's going to contact you about that. But don't worry about it.
I did seek out permission from all the people who had the copyright to the pictures.
Yeah,
so,
really. I'll need to know who they are because I'll be suing them as well.
Yeah, that was my picture, so you can sue me, Dave.
It's your picture? Okay, good. You owe me money anyway.
Yeah. Of course I do. I always owe you money for something.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else what's your next project that's lined? Has anything you can talk about, or?
I've been doing some writing for Bobby Valla, who's got the Valaverse Kickstarter.
Yeah, I've seen.
Funded.
Yeah.
So I did some of the webcomics for him. I know he's gotten the art and the publication of one of those done. So there is a comic book out there with my name on it, although I've never physically seen it or held it yet. And I've written about, I think, 8 or 9 other scripts. So they're in the process of being drawn and inked, and he's going to put those up and either get those out in conventions or online. So I'm helping him kind of build that universe. And beyond that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So is there a Bible to work from on that? Because I was looking at the figures and stuff that, the Kickstarter figures and whatnot. And I was thinking it'd be neat to start pretty much with a clean universe like that. With, how much guidelines did you have?
He had originally come up with a little concept that he had listed on his webpage.
Yep.
And so when I started writing for him, we bantered around some ideas, and we also brought in Justin Bell, who did some more of the kind of backstory there. So we've been kind of creating that universe as we've gone along.
That's great. So you were able to get in on that. That's terrific. Good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that's really what I enjoy, that kind of world building.
That was one of the things that
characters.
Always in the comics that I wrote was always very, very tricky for me, was writing within certain parameters. And it's like, you get this starting point, this end point, now you got to squeeze the story in there somewhere. And I was actually, again, looking at that and thinking, wow, that'd be kind of cool to be to kind of start at that ground zero point and say, here are the rough characters, and now we can do what we want with them. And
yeah, that was always fun when Brian came up with an idea for a 12-inch convention set. He threw in some wacky accessories, and then he would hand it to me and Todd and say, great, write a comic book, but you have to include this weird accessory, and they have to go here, and they have to do that. It was like,
so
what?
The perfect example of this, if you've never seen this, was a desert racing adventure that we had to integrate a space diver into. And we did it. We did. We did it. Yeah. It was like my proudest writing moment. Yeah. So
yeah. He decided at the last minute he was going to make an exclusive figure for sale that had nothing to do with the set. It was nothing to do with the set,
but he wanted it in the comic, and he wanted to appear in the comic. And boy, we figured out how to do it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's a great exercise to really flex your creative muscles, right? And how do I make this work?
Yep.
Oh
Totally.
yeah, and that's it. It's a lot of fun. I loved writing comics. It's like I said, it's a great medium, and there's so much you can do there. Super.
Well, I just have to thank you, Bill, because for all the years I wrote articles for the G.I. Joe Club and a few other magazines or whatever, you're the only person that's actually put me in a book. So yeah. I actually have a book with that my name is in. That makes somebody's going to be happy. My parents will probably be happy when I tell them.
That's right.
So thank you. And thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll plug the book again. It's the Joy of JoeCon, available on Amazon.com, Kindle or paperback.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Great.
No, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome.
Okay.
Let's go Desert Island DVD.
Well done!
Regular Joe's Desert Island DVDs.
We haven't done this in a very long time, so we are definitely all in that mode of being alone and needing to watch stuff. So we're doing a little bit different. I mean, this was our go-to segment, and it was something that we asked all the celebrities that we sort of interviewed back when we used to do that, when you were allowed to actually interact with human beings. So now we're going to do a couple different versions of that. So my first one is, what are you recommending to people right now? If, like I've had a number of people, I need something to watch. What can I watch? What are the things I can go first if you need to think about it, but like things you've recommended to people. Do you want me to go?
So why don't you go first?
So again, these are things that people, Mark was saying, what can I watch that I haven't watched? First thing I said was Sherlock, for sure. It's easy to watch. He hasn't seen it. It's, digestible because it's 4 seasons of like 3 episodes. He's almost done with that. Then I said The Boys.
Yes. Yeah, The Boys is great.
Which is definitely great. And then he's like, what about anything older? And I'm like, I'm trying to think, like, let's go back. If I had to recommend like something that's at this point, almost 20 years old, I said the first season of 24. If you haven't seen any of that, I tried to think of something that would hold up still, and I feel like it would still hold up. And I'm not sure.
Fast forward through the Kim parts. And he's
a 17-year-old boy.
Okay, good point. Yeah,
I would think you would slow motion the Kim.
I will tell you,
it
was a very cool gimmick at the time, but they crammed some. The wife's amnesia. I mean, there's like just a lot of shit shoehorned into that show. Oh yeah, no, the wife spontaneously gets amnesia. It's like,
oh, I remember watching 24 on DVD. And we would just watch like 4 at a time. It was so good.
Oh, see, I watched it as they aired.
Me too.
And it was kind of like,
really? I loved it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So those are the things I
actually. Yep. Good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. That's it. That was just like sort of off the top of my head. If it's a couple different various things to tell people to watch.
If I was going way back to start where you ended, I'd say the first season of Alias.
I was going to say that too, and I didn't want to start them off with the second season.
Yeah,
because it could be a little too much you could handle when you're
That's right. Yep.
stuck alone.
I agree. Yep.
I'm curious how that holds up.
I think Alias was pretty solid all the way through.
Alias
all the way through the series?
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh God, no. Like when they like shot around her pregnancy and stuff like that.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, it didn't go completely off the rails the way some people think Lost did, right? I mean,
I think it went completely. You know, the time lost thing. I think
there's seasons I still don't even understand. I don't know what the hell went on.
No, I think the first two seasons you can recommend.
Absolutely.
And I think, I think when she goes
I
missing
haven't watched
for a
it in
year,
a long time, but I loved that show when it was on.
It was great. I rewatched the first couple episodes maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, but that's the thing. I wish they were 10 episode seasons.
Yes,
because
I agree too. Because there's some plotting stuff in there. Yeah,
24 episodes.
Yeah, at this point of the game, this day and age, it is hard to jump in and rewatch shows that have that many episodes to them.
Yeah.
But,
so Ty,
it's funny. My wife was actually saying to me, because we've never seen Dexter. My wife was saying, she heard so many good things about it. And that was another one that I've heard starts off really strong, but kind of falls apart. I know, Todd,
first three seasons are very good. Okay. And I will say the end is one of the most unsatisfying things ever filmed.
Right. Yeah.
And though it's at the end of a season with Yvonne Strahovski as a guest star, so you got to watch those episodes anyways. Okay. But yeah, there's, I would say at least the first three seasons, and I'll look it up. It might be 4 because there's one season in there that's just great. That's really, really great, where they kind of flip things a little bit. It's
well, you bring her up, and that's, I mean, we talked about it recently, I think, but that's another good one that I would go back and recommend is watching Chuck.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I totally agree.
But I've been recommending to people the most in just this last couple of weeks has been Ozark. For anybody that hasn't seen Ozark on Netflix,
I still haven't seen it. Yeah.
Third season just dropped, and we just finished it, and it's consistently good.
Todd, you haven't seen any of it?
I haven't seen any of it.
Oh, it's worth watching.
Yeah,
and it's a 10-episode season each season, so there's only 30 episodes. It's not like overpowering or anything, but I enjoy it. I think it's good.
I will say that the kind of sleeper that a lot of people, Barry and I have talked about this a few times, that a lot of people overlook is Better Call Saul, and it so gets out of the shadow of being a prequel to Breaking Bad. It is honestly, it is probably some of the best written TV that's ever been on, and it's amazing.
Jumped into it,
and the parts that tie back to Breaking Bad aren't even the most interesting parts.
And they're not exactly. And you got to stay with it, Dave. And it's like, but you got to watch these relationships slowly develop and disintegrate and morph and change. And Barry and I both watched this season ender last night, and so good. Just so good. They take a woman who was very much a minor character as the show started and slowly develop a relationship between these two people that is probably one of the most genuine things that exists on TV. You never see either one of these things do a thing that you would recommend anyone doing, but you never question that they would actually do it because you believe the characters that they've created. They've done a great job with that.
Well, and the funny thing is, and I don't remember this from Breaking Bad, and maybe it was there, but I just never made the connection. I don't remember making the connection, but his character name, Saul Goodman, is short for Saul Goodman. I had no idea.
The first time we heard this was they never made that joke in Breaking Bad, and in a flashback to when he was, years before in Chicago, he's working a scam with a guy, and he said, "Hey, it's all good, man." And I was like, "Oh crap." And that itself was like 5 years before he would use the name. And it's just so good. It's like I said,
very well done.
It's at a point right now where, like I said, you can forget the connecting tissue to Breaking Bad. And the parts that are there are just great. It's It's really good. Again,
Cool.
it's much more than just a prequel. So
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, really,
So
really good.
anything else anyone's recommending to people asking?
I've said this several times before, but I'll say both. Evil on CBS All Access streaming is the whole season's there. It is really, really good. I mean, if you don't believe me, go out and read some reviews. Pretty much everyone put it on their list of the best new shows of last year, if not picked it as the best new show. It's very, very good. It kind of falls into that kind of X-Files-ish sort of thing, but it's excellent, and it's never what you think. So quite good. The other is and everybody recommended it, but I really enjoyed Witcher, and everybody that I've sent to watch it has liked it too. So ultimately, when they follow through, it's good. Trying to think of what other things that I've recommended recently. Those are probably the ones, and of course, Mandalorian to everyone on Earth who hasn't seen it. So
yeah, and we've got we don't know yet whether they're long form or short form, but on May 1st, they're adding behind the scenes for each episode. So,
that should be.
I don't know how they're doing 8 episodes of behind the scenes unless they're shorts, but I'll watch.
I'm sure they're shorts. I would imagine. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go next? So we have more we're doing these sort of various Desert Island DVD type questions.
Okay, so I'm going to throw one out there. So you can pick any Trek movie you want, anyone whatsoever, that's not Wrath of Khan.
I feel like we've talked about this, but that's, for me, I picked First Contact. I think that's my second favorite movie.
I've been rewatching the JJ movies, but
me too.
I think my favorite, other than Wrath of Khan, my favorite of the original cast movies is Undiscovered Country. So I'm going to go with Undiscovered Country.
And I would vacillate between your two choices. There's days when I feel more towards one or the other, but those would be my two. Probably right now, Undiscovered Country, but First Contact is great. So those are the I think those are.
I need to rewatch Undiscovered Country. I haven't seen that one in a couple of years.
And I got to tell you, Undiscovered Country isn't as good as we remember it, but it's so much better than some of the others.
There's a little hokiness to it, but it's good.
I mean, it's about the end of the Cold War, basically, and it's written in big crayon, but it's sabotage so much better than the film that preceded it that you feel like, okay, they at least got back on the rails. And so
that would have been the right place to end Kirk.
Yeah.
Not Generations.
Yeah.
Which was tough.
Which I've got a soft spot for Generations.
Of course you do. You have a soft spot for every shitty movie.
Maybe that's true.
It's kind of You give Riker command for 10 minutes and he crashes into the planet. Come on, seriously.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I watched. I've just recently rewatched both the first two JJ movies, and I like them both. I mean, the third one I don't think I like nearly as much, but
I have to rewatch that one this coming weekend.
I'm going to try to do that too. Yeah.
I remember there being so much backlash around the second one, and I watched it this weekend, and it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
If you take it completely out of the context of how, like JJ repeatedly saying, no, John Harrison is not Khan Noonien Singh.
Yeah.
Oh yes, but actually he is. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think distance the time from that. Yeah. We've had enough time since then that I think it softens that.
I'm even good with like the inversion of the Spock Kirk sacrifice thing. I think there's just a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of good in that movie. They had other stories they could have used.
The casting of those characters was just so incredibly well done. I should say the recasting of those characters.
Yeah,
they really did a good job casting those movies.
And there's people who hate them. I think they did a great job. I really did.
Yep.
JJ can still do no wrong. Sorry, screw all you. But the thing, I was watching it. They couldn't take the blood from one of the other superhumans.
Yeah, that was exactly.
I never thought about that the first couple times I saw it. I only thought about that when I watched.
I had that exact thought.
But anyway, all right, Barry, what do you got?
So let me just ask you guys a question: are we doing what's in the box, or are we skipping that?
We're gonna do it. We could do it.
Okay, because mine they're tied together. What's in the box and my desert island thing.
Okay.
That's I'm gonna do my what's in the box first. I'm going out of order. I'm screwing with the way things work, but I haven't been getting much in the box. But what I did get this week, or really last week, but I finally took them out of quarantine, is what? Why is he laughing? So I got the original Star Wars trilogy on 4K Blu-ray in my box, and it made me think about. Why are you laughing at me?
No, it's been a long night already.
It's been a long night.
So it made me think about how many times I've bought these movies.
Now, what are they? Are they the current versions of them?
These are the current versions that are on Disney Plus. So this is the McClunky edit of A New Hope with.
I haven't seen that.
But other than that, so here's the weird thing. So I mean, I wanted them on 4K. This is the first time I've ever released them on 4K. And they give you a digital code, and I, as I always do, I put them in so that I can put them on my Apple TV.
Oh, you do? I've never used the digital code once.
I use them all the time because then when I fire up my Apple TV, all my movies are there. I have like 100 movies on Apple, but because Apple and Disney fight with each other, they don't have the 4K version for streaming. The only way you can get the 4K version is on Disney Plus for streaming.
Wait, okay. So the Disney Plus streaming, it's not like Netflix where you have to buy the 4K version. Is it?
No. With Disney Plus, you get the 4K version.
Okay.
Okay. But usually what Apple does, they actually made a big deal out of this announcement a couple of years back that when they were upgrading your movies automatically to 4K for you, if you had it in your library and they had a 4K version, they gave it to you. Mm-hmm. They're not selling, and nor do they have a 4K version because Disney won't give it to them. So that aside, it's made me start thinking about all the times I've bought these movies and how many, versions. And I'm not even counting the VHS and the Laserdisc versions because those are so long ago. But I've had those. And it made me think I could build a desert island out of the amount of Star Wars DVDs and VHSs and Blu-rays and Laserdiscs. If you look behind me there, that's all of my Star Wars DVDs lined up on the table. I'll send you a picture of them. But I have rebought these movies so many times, it's not even funny. And I've kept every version because for whatever reason, in their infinite wisdom, they never re-release the same bonus features. So the DVD of the original trilogy, the first version I have, has different bonus features than the Blu-ray of... Well, actually, I've got two versions of the original trilogy on DVD. The first one that they ever released, and then the second one, which had the uncut original versions as a bonus disc. Mm-hmm. They've never put those out again in any format.
I hear they're coming out again, though.
Well, I hope they are. Then they have the Blu-rays. Then they get the 4Ks. Then the trilogies, I've got the DVDs and the Blu-rays, and now I'm upgrading them all to 4K. But it also made me think, this is the only franchise that I keep doing that with. I mean, Star Trek, I have gone from DVD to Blu-ray. And
you didn't even know you did.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty funny story.
We all bought all of them. And
So these guys texted me a couple weekends ago that there was this great deal on a 10-pack of Blu-rays of the original Star Trek movies. And I'm like, oh, man, I gotta jump in on that. And then I went downstairs and realized I already had it. It's still wrapped in plastic.
Let me ask you this, because I've lost track of this. At what point when they changed, when the hand shooting first thing happened, that was
right before the prequels. I think 97.
And that was what versions?
It was the special editions in 97.
Special editions
that came out
when they appended the title of Star Wars.
No, they appended the title when Empire Strikes Back came out.
No,
when they re-released Star Wars with the release of Empire Strikes Back is when they added the A New Hope.
I don't think so. I think that was that was a video release thing. I think we can look that up, but I don't.
I have looked it up. I'm telling you, it goes that far back.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
yeah, it was like 80 when they or 79 or 80 when they did that.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. So have you watched any of these?
I have not had a chance to pop them in yet.
You told me about it. I'm like, should I buy them? I have them in the same boat. I have the VHS. I do have the original VHS uncut, non-special editions, which I have.
Widescreen or pan and scan?
Widescreen.
Yeah, okay.
I only bought widescreen VHS back then. And then I have the DVDs, and then I have the multi-pack DVDs. Anyway, I'm like Star Wars, the original Star Wars. It's not designed for 4K. I mean, I'm really curious what it looks like.
The thing that I like about it is, because we love the props and the costumes and all that so much, it allows you to really see things that they were probably never even meant to be seen.
But I'm saying, what about are the matte lines and everything cleared up and everything?
No, they've cleaned all that up. Because I've looked at it on Disney Plus. I mean, and that's the other aspect to this is I bought a 3-year subscription to Disney Plus, so I've got access to these movies in 4K on every platform. There's no reason I needed to buy these, but for some reason I'm compelled anytime they release a new version of these fucking movies.
Barry, I should not have questioned you. It was April 10th, 81 when they re-released it. Yeah. So
okay.
So anyway, I find it interesting, but I also as Dave knows, when I bought these, there was a really good sale going on Target. Buy 2 DVDs, get 1 free. So I only paid $20 a piece for them for 4K, which is a really good deal.
It's good to get a deal on something that
I already own
5 copies.
So that also raised another question for me of, am I going to buy, I only bought the 3. I bought the original trilogy. Am I going to buy the prequels? And so far I have not. And then on the sequels, two of them have already come out in 4K and I have them, but Force Awakens, I've already owned 2 versions of it on Blu-ray because I bought the original version and then they released a 3D version. And like an idiot, I went out and bought that because it had the commentary track. It had bonus features that the original version didn't have.
Have you watched have you watched anything in 3D? You're the only person in the world who has a 3D Blu-ray player.
I do, but I just threw out my 3D glasses because the TV that we had, the only 3D TV we have, is now in my bedroom, and I'm certainly never going to watch anything in 3D.
Have you ever I never got the glasses for my 3D TV. I don't
bought the glasses, and we watched a bunch of movies with the kids.
I found them a couple of months ago. I never took them out the cellophane.
My brand new 4K 75-inch TV doesn't even support 3D, and I don't want it to.
Does anything anymore?
No, they don't know. It's over. It's a dead format. So when they released it in 3D, that version had all the bonus features. If you remember, when they released The Force Awakens on Blu-ray, it didn't even have a commentary track.
So right now you have 2 Blu-ray versions of The Force Awakens.
Correct.
And are you and the question
and now it's
is,
out on 4K.
Are you going to buy it on 4K? And you have Voldemort version in 4K?
Yes, I do.
Why? I probably don't. I don't think I had 4K at that time.
And then I have Solo in 4K, but they didn't release Rogue One initially in 4K, so I have that on Blu-ray. This is my dilemma. Like I said, I've got every Blu-ray of all the Clone Wars seasons, of all the Rebel seasons. I've got the original Clone Wars micro series on DVD.
You have Rebels? You bought that stuff after you watched it on television?
Yes, because it's good. But.
Okay, for those of you who dozed off, we now return to this episode of Where Did Barry's Kids' Inheritance Go? Episode 4.
What about that crappy show?
Everything on that table is available on Disney Plus now. With the exception of the original micro series and the holiday special bootleg, everything's available on Disney Plus.
Okay, what was you had a question in there? I'm sure.
So my point was my version of Desert Island is I could build a desert island with all the versions.
What do we? Is there a question for us in there?
And my question is, do you have a franchise or a movie or anything, what is the one that you've bought the most, rebought the most versions of? Yeah, that was the question I was going to ask.
Aside from Star Wars, which is probably that's the answer.
Is it, or I mean, did either of you get in on the Star Trek VHS episode at a time thing back in the?
Oh God,
no. God,
no. Boy, I know people
never
that
did.
did.
No, I didn't either. I know people that did too.
I definitely have had several of the Star. I had the Star Trek movies on VHS, some of them.
Yep.
I have some separate ones, and I have some collected ones, and then I just bought the new Blu-ray version. So there are probably multiple versions of Wrath. I probably have 4 versions of the Wrath of Khan.
Well, you know, the thing with the Star Trek movies, they had done a deluxe 2-disc version of each of the Star Trek movies that had a bunch of bonus features. Those bonus features aren't on the new Blu-rays.
Okay. I'll have to go find those.
Because, I go back and watch these bonus features all the time. That's why I have to have them.
Okay.
I have 4 versions of Blade Runner.
I know it's late, but did the sarcasm in my voice come through on that?
That was the one I was going to go to. I bet there are 4 or 5 versions of Blade Runner.
I don't have it on. Do I even? I must have. I have the Voight Kampf briefcase edition that has every edition in it. I have a DVD. I have a Blu-ray. I have the director's cut on something.
Do you have whatever the final cut? That one?
The final cut. This was in all the thing, but
okay.
See, I got them all individually, and
I bought that briefcase thing, so that's probably it for me.
The other one for me is Terminator 2. I think I've probably owned 5 versions of that.
Yeah, I have 3 versions of Alien and Aliens, at least.
I've got at least a couple of those. I will buy Dark Fate in every format it's released.
I will totally. That's the best one of the series.
Yeah.
I have them all in my movies app.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Lord of the Rings, I've had 3 versions or 4 versions of those too. But yeah, so it's a disease.
Okay.
That's mine.
So that's the Desert Island DVD. Sorry, it was more for us than it was for you because we could just entertain ourselves.
It was also my What's in the Box.
Well, okay, I'm going to go next because my What's in the Box ties into my answer to Todd's question. Where is it?
While Dave's getting his, I'll do mine.
I've been looking.
Mine is the 10-movie Ultimate Stardate Collection, which is the all 10 movies on Blu-ray, which is
the one I didn't realize I had already.
Recently got. Dave, why don't you go ahead now?
I have that too. I've been eyeing this for a long time, but I did not get the Master Replicas phaser. But there's a guy who sells a kit. That's this guy Stapleton Productions, who makes probably what's known as like the best kit of a lot of Star Trek things. So he stopped making these for a while, but he actually made this up for me. So this is the Boomerang phaser from First Contact. That is a kit, and I also ordered the electronics from another person.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's my next project.
So
I finish your Logan's Run gun.
Is that painted already, or do you have to paint?
No,
that?
this is the casting is really nice. This is resin,
great,
and then the black is actually rubber.
Oh,
nice.
God.
Yeah, it's 2 pieces. I took the screws out.
Is getting more of these possible?
Yeah, I think so. I can give you the guy's contact.
That would be great. So that's the Boomerang. There's the Dustbuster, the Boomerang, and the Dolphin,
No, there's more than that. There's the Cobra Head. There's the Dustbuster. I think the Cobra Head is next.
Cobra Head is next.
Then maybe the Boomerang.
The Boomerang's after the
Dolphin's the last one.
Oh, the Dolphin's
in Nemesis. This was in First Contact and Voyager. And the button, it comes with the 2 different color buttons.
Oh,
you have the Master Replicas one, right, Barry?
I do, yeah. Yep.
And is it the Boomerang?
It's the Boomerang, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
It's listed as the First Contact phaser.
Yeah, that's the Boomerang one.
Yeah.
I think that's, when they, Voyager had,
pretty sure
who had the gray shirts first? Was it
Deep Space Nine.
The gray uniforms. Was it Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, with the quilted. Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Anyway, that's First Contact, but I don't know if that's the first appearance of those phasers.
Yeah, that my Master Replicas one is listed as First Contact on the plaque.
Yeah, so.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think he used to at least make the Dolphin one. I got picked the Boomerang because I like the movie and the Nemesis one. I think it's just a little more streamlined, but. Okay,
so now are the other pieces that you got to put on it, you've got to paint those? Is that how that works?
Not really. This is fascinating for everyone as well, but basically I don't think there's a lot of, there's the emitter, which has to be painted black and then glued on. And then this whole thing is painted a metallic gray.
Yep.
And then all the buttons that go in are already colored resin. So, and then the electronics this other guy sells that are all put together. There's not a lot of work to this. And
that's cool.
I have a little filling to do. There was like an air bubble here, but this cast, I don't even want to sand it. It's so smooth. It's such a nice cast.
Nice.
That's what's in the box. Someday we're all going to come and have the same exact what's in the box. That would be funny.
Well, that's why I jumped in and did mine, because I thought you were going for the box set.
Oh, no.
I thought that's what you were
there's something coming soon that we are all getting the exact same thing of.
That's true. Oh.
Although I don't know how soon it's coming, but
it better come soon. I already paid for it. The bastards. I mean,
a couple things actually. Dave, you're getting 2 shipments. So
yeah, I think so.
So
we'll see. Who knows what the deal is? Any last thoughts?
This is a difficult time right now for a lot of people, and I lost someone very close to me personally this week. And I will say, in the time we have right now, the piece of advice I would give to you is reach out to those people who you care about and make sure that they know that. It's a tough time all the way around, and particularly for those elderly people in our lives, it's very hard to get to them, but it's worth the effort.
You know what you could do? Like my wife went to see her mother and sat outside in the sliding glass door, and they had to talk for half an hour, and they're very.
If you need to, like I said, if you need to push a little bit, and I know some people have had difficulty getting in touch with people in nursing homes and whatnot, but keep pushing, and someone will set up FaceTime or a Zoom meeting or whatever you've got to do, but take the time and effort. These are. A lot of these people truly are of the greatest generation. They've sacrificed more in their lifetimes than we can ever imagine. And we're losing them by the day.
Yeah.
And
so be safe out there. Take care of everybody. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.